Many people are in an excited mood to chase after some sensation of awakening Kundalini, even if they don't know what it is yet. Because you cannot know something until you have experienced it. And further, even when we begin to taste it, there is much to reflect on and comprehend. We're going to look at something very specific about the nature and true depths of Kundalini that exoteric teachings do not know. Be careful when you listen to information about Kundalini and people talking about it in an ambiguous and sensationalist way. When we use our intellect to study Kundalini, we should be very precise. We should seek to know exactly what we are talking about. There's a beautiful saying in the Gnostic teachings: be like a lemon. Because the taste of a lemon is very exact, very distinct. And when you have distinction and exact conceptualization, then exact understanding will flow from your inquiry. It will flow from your meditation. And it will override possible unconscious misunderstandings that arise from the ignorance of vague thinking. Now, what we're going to look at here may seem discouraging to some, because what we're going to see is how profoundly colossal the nature of Kundalini awakening really is. The true gravity of it. We're like ants trying to move a mountain. Many people underestimate this topic like it's a child's toy. This is very popular on YouTube. To see it as something easy to achieve. But it is not. And we're going to see how it is not a simple-minded, linear process of going from the root of the spine to the top of the crown. If it were that simple, it would not be a mystical, esoteric topic. It is ignorant to see Kundalini as some kind of simple tool, like a light switch with an on and off button. Remember, that which we call Kundalini is precisely your particular individual divine mother, who is with you always. She is with everyone always, no matter what, no matter whether we are conscious of it or not, because she is our true mother in the spiritual world, and she holds profound love and also profound intelligence, multi-dimensional intelligence. And just like a true mother, if an individual does not want to awaken their consciousness and they want to live unconsciously, our mother will not stop us because she loves us and she cares about us. It is a type of love that most do not understand. When religious people say God will forgive any type of sinner, the truth of that is precisely the aspect of God that is the Divine Mother, who forgives and helps us no matter what. So remember, we are talking about the nature of the Divine Mother Kundalini. That is, the Divine Mother energy as this serpent energy that lays within us, in our spine, our nervous system. You can see it as a winged serpent, you can see it as Isis, you can see it as Mother Mary, it doesn't matter. It is a reality of our consciousness that holds great power. And our relationship with it is precisely connected to our primal root force, our sexual energy. And the ascent of this energy is precisely connected to the transmutation of that energy. Everyone has a relationship with their Divine Mother, whether it be neutral, positive, negative. Each to their own has their own relationship. And clairvoyance can see or observe people and understand quickly what kind of relationship that person has with their own Divine Mother, which is not just connected to their own individual Divine Mother, but a relationship with the universal force of this energy. She has many forms: cosmic, terrestrial. She appears also as our physical mother who gave birth to us. Many forms. So when one decides to truly turn their attention away from the attachments and identifications with the material world of material consciousness, and instead directs their attention inwards towards the awakening of consciousness, to dissolving the mechanical psychological patterns of ego, making the unconscious conscious, transmuting sexual energy, developing virtues such as compassion and love, attaining degrees of enlightenment. Then, when our inner world becomes conscious in this way, illuminated, purified, it is then when the force of Kundalini, our Divine Mother, helps us to truly transform through giving us the vigor, the vitality of universal cosmic love in our hearts, showing us the power of compassion and sacrifice. She shows us in subtle ways the meaning of everything we are going through on our path in life, and she helps us in our ascent during our hardest and darkest moments. And as an effect of that, she also enables our natural occult powers, such as telepathy, astral travel, higher intuition, clairvoyance, clairaudience, the experience of samadhi, and much more. It is never the Kundalini that causes suffering, but suffering is always caused by the ego and our attachments to ego, and the pain of truly letting it go and letting it vanish, letting it dissolve. Now, don't overthink the following. It's just considerations for reflection and deeper meditation. When people say they have awakened Kundalini, 99% of them are sincerely mistaken. What happens is, people do certain spiritual practices, such as pranayama or meditation, and they have this or that extrasensory perception. And because of that, they believe they have awakened Kundalini, and they go around telling others that their Kundalini is awakened based on a past experience, based on a past memory. But having this force truly permanently rooted within us is one thing, and gaining a tiny spark during a mere moment of meditation is another. People who are truly actively working with the Divine Mother Kundalini never say that they have awakened Kundalini, because they are very aware of how easy it is to fall into identification with ego. It is pride which gets in the way of most people on this path. If you think you're awakened, you're probably not. A condition for raising Kundalini is humbleness. Master Jesus said, "Wherever you go, humble yourself and choose the lowest seat. If you do so, you will be exalted to a higher seat. But if you choose to place yourself on the highest seat, then you will be humbled." Or in other words, humiliated. in order to be taught the virtue of humility. In deeper understanding, this means that in your spiritual work, in your path, you should focus on the deepest and most difficult attachments to ego that you have. And that is when divinity, that's when the Christ, the Christic force helps you. You see, everyone is busy looking up at heaven. But if you want to get to heaven, you have to humble your head and look down at hell, because the mess you've made is below. Kundalini is always about taking personal responsibility for your own psychological transformation. So, why is Kundalini much bigger than we realize? To explain this in short, Kundalini is not raised once. It does not ascend or awaken once. There are, in reality, 7 Kundalinis, 7 completely different types of Kundalinis, each one being raised one at a time, one after the other. This is a profoundly complex process that can only be ultimately understood, it can only ultimately be comprehended in the internal worlds, in the superior dimensions of consciousness, in one's own direct experience in the path of initiation. The process cannot be understood merely with words or merely with the mind. It is a secret path for each individual, because as Kundalini ascends up each of the 33 vertebrae, there are tests and trials that the individual goes through in the inner worlds. These are not tests like punishments, but requirements of purification of certain internal elements that cannot exist within us if we want our consciousness to awaken. So to clarify, Kundalini is raised 7 times because there are 7 bodies to awaken, and each body has its own nervous system, its own spine, its own 33 vertebrae. This is energetic, it is real, but these bodies exist on another dimension of existence, another dimension of consciousness. They cannot be understood on the dimension of consciousness of the physical plane. You are watching this video while your consciousness is rooted in the physical dimension of existence. This makes this matter very difficult to talk about, very difficult to grasp with the mind that is rooted in the material understanding of the world. So these bodies are also known as the existential bodies of the being, or superior bodies, or solar bodies, and each one is awakened in the order of: first, the physical body; second, the vital or etheric body; third, the astral body; fourth, the mental body; fifth, the causal body; sixth, the Buddhic body; and seventh, the Atmic body. In future videos, we'll look more deeply at each body and what dimension of consciousness it encompasses. But for now, what we're emphasizing here is that the process of creating these bodies is challenging and takes a long time, and especially so because we are unguided and we fall spiritually, sexually, emotionally, mentally, through wrong actions, false emotions, illusions of the mind. And what happens when you fall? You will undergo difficulties and challenges to do with things that you thought you had overcome in the past. But the truth is, you didn't fully learn from it yet. And that's why your Kundalini couldn't continue being raised, because there was a heaviness, a lead of attachments that are still pulling you down, unobserved egos, ignored psychological patterns that are conditioning your state of consciousness that you are yet to be aware of. This is why tests in life are necessary, to show you what you are unaware of. For this reason, we should be very grateful for adversities and problems in life, whatever it may be. If there is even an ounce of resistance in our moments of life, that resistance, that problem, that ego contains a gift of light for us to observe, comprehend, and transmute. This is why self-observation, self-remembrance, prayer, meditation at every moment of life is crucial for spiritual awakening. To go deeper, as discussed in previous videos, such as the one on White Tantra and meditation on ego, the polarity of Kundalini, the inversion of Kundalini, is called the Kundabuffer. And the Kundabuffer is the home to our psychological darkness, our egos. To understand this more in terms of Kundalini awakening, physiologically, the atoms or vibrations of the Kundabuffer exist physiologically and energetically within the tailbone, which is where tremendous amounts of energy is locked, laying dormant, asleep, because all of that energy is being used to keep the unconsciousness of our infernal world of unconscious dreams alive. The process of awakening Kundalini is a process of gradually liberating the energy of consciousness that is trapped in our tailbone, or coccyx, which is done by illuminating and dying to our unconscious psychological patterns that are keeping us asleep from moment to moment. The more we stop leaking energy in the tailbone, the more we save energy and get the opportunity to raise it up the spine for the activation of our higher bodies. For this, transmutation, meditation, and White Tantra is necessary. Now, a question that some may ask is, don't we already have some of these bodies, such as the astral body? Indeed, we do possess other bodies already, but they are lunar, inverted, and they have a mechanical nature because they exist within the world of the Kundabuffer. For example, everyone has a lunar astral body, and it can be observed every time we go to sleep. Through White Tantra or alchemy, we learn to build the solar bodies, including the solar astral body. And as each one is born, we also raise the Kundalini of each one. This is also related to Yasod on the Tree of Life, the ninth sphere, or the Gate of Eden. As you can see on the diagram, it is the sexual center of Kabbalah, the vital body that first needs to be purified and illuminated before proceeding to the higher bodies. So you see, currently our lunar bodies exist in the lower fifth dimension, or what we can call the fourth dimension, because, for example, the lunar astral body is garbed under the vital body of the inferior dimensions of the Kundabuffer. And it is through transmutation that we find the transformation of this subconscious world. We begin to transform it and refine it. This is why we said earlier, be precise in your spiritual seeking. Seek to be very accurate and exact about what you want, because that will determine the way that you transform your inner world. And gradually, you will find higher perceptions of consciousness into the objective world of the Kundalini. And more powers and higher insight naturally come with the solar bodies, because the solar bodies are based in the fifth dimension, meaning an objective space which exists beyond time and space. And when you are in a dimension of consciousness that is beyond time and space, you are not limited by time nor space. And that gives you access to the freedom of perception itself. It is a place of consciousness where we can perceive objective reality, as opposed to the subconscious infernal regions of the sleeping lower fifth dimension or fourth dimension, or also known as the abyss. This dimension, which is related with time, memory, subconsciousness, subjectivity, dreams. These lower dimensions are not to be condemned, but are to be illuminated. We have to bring consciousness to our unconsciousness. That is the only way to grow in an authentic way spiritually. It is not through attainment of new concepts or beliefs, but through illuminating the unconsciousness. That is how an individual grows. So in this way, the lower fifth dimension and fourth dimensions serve as a bridge to the higher dimensions of reality. By developing our solar astral body through meditation, self-observation, and the transmutation of our sexual energy, we can awaken our consciousness and explore the higher dimensions of existence. It is through this inner work that we can strive to transcend the limitations of the lunar bodies and awaken to our true spiritual potential. So, always keep in mind that if you're awakening consciousness just for the sensationalism of Kundalini awakening, then you won't make as much progress. Remember the saying, Kundalini rises according to the merits of the heart, according to the language of the heart, according to your relationship with your own individual particular Divine Mother, your relationship with divine, unconditional love for all beings and all of existence. The more of that you can attain, the more that the scales of karma and dharma will balance in your way and allow you and open you up to these mysteries that we're exploring here, for you to comprehend yourself in your own direct experience. This process, this path, and this force, Kundalini, it is all to do with your own being, your own intuition. Nobody else can really tell you how to do it. You have to follow your own being, and you have to learn how to follow your own intuition, which is tricky because the ego always thinks it's right, and the ego will always try to feed us intuition. But there is a way to listen to true intuition. So we all have to follow our being, which is based in the vertical dimension of life. And therefore, there is no set amount of time that Kundalini awakens to. Some people say that it takes 7 years for each body or something like this. No. It happens according to the vertical dimension of your consciousness, which is not set in time. It is set according to the merits of your heart, according to your inner purification. So, wherever you are right now in your spiritual path is exactly where you're meant to be, because that is where this force has put you. It has put you here and now, wherever you are. Continue with perseverance, no matter how difficult things get. Those who make conscious efforts are sure to succeed. Ask for help from your own Divine Mother Kundalini, and you will receive it.